On this episode of Missouri Life, we're in Clinton, Missouri, where we take to the sky in style. Tell a story made for the silver screen. Capture a moment in time with bronze and clay. And grab a slice that's upper crust. All that and more coming up next on Missouri Life. Production support is provided by Missouri Life magazine and by viewers like you. Thank you. Welcome to another episode of Missouri Life. I'm your host, Meredith Haynes. Thanks so much for joining me on another journey of discovery. Named after the New York governor who oversaw the building of the Erie Canal, Clinton was founded in 1836. Not long after the Missouri, Kansas, and Texas Railroad was built, the first locomotive pulled in 1870. This depot behind me was built in 1886 after the original structure was lost in a fire. The last train to pull out of the station was on May 1st, 1958. Let's continue our journey of discovery and find out more about what makes Clinton, Missouri proud. Brenda, the Henry County Museum is very extensive, multiple rooms, different displays that are available. How long did it take you to accumulate all of these objects? How long have you been opened, and where are we right now?
Well, right now we are in the stable area of the Anheuser-Busch building. The Anheuser-Busch was built in 1886, so it has a long history. It's only been owned by 3 people, which was the Anheuser-Busch Company, and then there was a Croft & Brown Seed Company, and then the Historical Society bought it in 1974. They opened the first 2 rooms, which is the office area, and which we use as a music area for our displays, and then the bottling room, which is kind of our collections room. We have a lot of different things, a lot of different communities in our collection room.
Brenda, the next topic we are talking about is very familiar to me. My mom's house is full of crock pots. That's how crocks is what I've known about that. A lot of those may have perhaps come from Henry County.
It could have. I know that pottery has been here for many years. We had here in Clinton a pottery that turned into a Western Ware pottery company, which is more of a well-known brand that you actually might have, but I think ours are labeled blue where some of the others are different color. Other than that, we had, the brick companies were here, which would use the clay. We just had a lot of clay in this area. It was a very good resource for us. I know Deepwater, not far from here, had the world's largest clay and sewer tile factory. The government during World War II had commissioned them to make a practice bomb to save the metal, because they were conserving of the metal at that time. And so that was just kind of a fun, unique thing that Deepwater did. And then Calhoun, just right up the road, probably had more potteries than anyone else in the area. But their main thing was what we call the little brown jugs, or the canning jars, or things like that.
Brenda, there is a game I played in my childhood, and you have blown my mind to find out that it originated, as far as we know, it originated in the state of Missouri.
Well, the way we play Chinese checkers originated in the state of Missouri.
Okay.
His name was Lawrence Brown. He was quite an inventor. He actually invented the buzz bomb, which some people will remember as a fireworks. He invented the Missouri bird, which was a toy that if you did this to it, it would fly straight up in the air just like a helicopter. He invented the balsam airplane, made out of balsam wood that would shoot with a rubber band. So he was quite a little fun inventor for us. What he did was took the idea of what was then called Chinese chess, and which was a 2-person game. He changed that to a game that could play 6 by using another idea from another game that had a star pattern. And so we say that he invented how you play Chinese checkers.
Located across the street from the Henry County Museum is the Homestead. It gives people the opportunity to see what it was like to grow up in rural Missouri in the mid-19th century. The Homestead consists of 5 historic structures: a dog trot log house, a mule barn, a corn crib, a smokehouse, and a one-room schoolhouse. On the corner of the next block sits the Doorman House, built before the Civil War and once the home of the captain of the local Home Guard. But back inside the museum is one of Missouri's hidden gems.
Yeah, this is what we like to consider our 1900 village. It has 7 rooms, and so there's an apothecary, there's a doctor's office, there's a bank, there's a general store or provisions, there's a law office, there's a harness and leather goods store, and there's a barber shop, just in case you needed your teeth pulled while you were getting your hair cut and things like that.
What does it mean to preserve this?
Everything to me. When you walk into a room, I walked into the provisions back there, and over on the counter was this RB Rice lard can. It's got a cute little piggy on the front of it and everything. I said, oh my gosh, I carried that in the 1st grade as my lunchbox to my one-room school. So it brings back all kinds of memories. That's the reason I encourage grandparents to bring your kids, your grandkids. You'll find something that will go back to your childhood that you can relate with them. It just gives you a feel of what your predecessors have gone through to get you where we are today.
And how it's changed over the years.
Oh yes, a terrible amount of changes. I mean, it's exciting that it's changing, but yet I think we have to step back and look at our history to really be able to go forward.
During the Civil War, Clinton sympathized with the South, but was often occupied by Union soldiers. The Battle of Clinton occurred when Confederate soldiers snuck into town to harass Union soldiers. When trouble was brewing, men left town and hid in the Grand River bottoms to the south. When the coast was clear, a bedsheet was hung from the 2nd-story window of this house to let the men know it was safe to come back home. Built in 1852, the Doorman House was the first 2-story brick home built in Clinton. With beginnings in airplane salvage, aviation fabricators made a home in Clinton, Missouri, but they soon found an underserved and advantageous avenue to redirect their business.
What made us get into the fabricating and repairing of the interior parts was we really noticed a definite need in that niche. It wasn't served very well. It was kind of the lower end of the turboprop and jet market. And the guys that were selling those parts wanted to sell engines and avionics, so they neglected the interior parts. And so we saw that need and decided to try to get some approvals and come up with some ideas that we really felt there was a market for. We bring in raw materials and cut the tubing and weld it or machine. We do some machining here, we prime, we paint, final assembly. We do everything but some machine shop work and the upholstery work. The products we manufacture are almost all utility enhancement products. So that would be something like a divan, which is kind of an ad agency word for a couch, but you would take out one seat and put in a 2-place divan, for instance, and then that airplane gained 1 passenger, which is very valuable, especially to charter operators, by that reconfiguration. So again, we've enhanced the utility. We also make airline style seats, which you take out an 8-passenger executive interior to a 11 or 13 passenger high density. The airplane becomes a little airliner. Jump seats. We also make stretchers for non-critical care, medevac applications, all kinds of repairs on different products as well that are all interior parts. That's all we do is interior parts. Those would be seat repairs. We overhaul the little recline cylinder called a hydrolock or an ultralock that, when you get on an airliner and you push the button and you go backwards, that's that little shock absorber looking thing. We overhaul well over 3,000 of those a year. We overhaul toilets, ovens, coffee units. We do cabinetry, refurbishing. Just basically anything for the corporate aircraft interior world is kind of our niche. The company Airplane is one we bought, and we wanted to put all of the AvFab mods we have for that particular airplane. We have an interior upgrade kit that the ad agency nicknamed the AvFabulous kit. We just had to go with it. But anyway, so it has hidden headrest, it has lateral tracking seats, it has an arm ledge table system, which is the backbone of making it look like a brand new airplane. It also has a side-facing aisle seat across from the door that's lighter weight and more modern looking. And it has pleated window shades, which are a huge upgrade over the original window shades for several different reasons, but they look neater and they work better than the OEM window shades. When you put all those in, you've really modernized the airplane considerably. You've increased the value considerably. So sometimes we'll sell that kit to a broker who has an airplane for sale, and he's looking for a way to move the aircraft quicker and hopefully get some more money for it. So it's a good project that we're really proud of. It really works out well for us. We love the community, and the people that we have here are fantastic. We've got a great workforce and a good airport. Those things all made Clinton a really attractive place for us to just stay. And it's not really like we need to be near a major airport. We don't ever touch the airplanes. We send the parts out. We ship everything most all the time. So we didn't really need that particular element to be who we are, a big storefront on an airport. Quality is everything, and you know, you can be in any business that you want to be in, but if you don't have the quality, price doesn't matter, customer service doesn't matter. Those are important things, but without quality, you're just not going to make it happen.
In the early 1900s, Royal Booth took backyard egg farming and turned it into a burgeoning modern hatchery business, specializing in chickens that would breed year-round. It didn't take long for other area entrepreneurs to start their own egg ventures. By 1930, Clinton's hatcheries were producing 3 million eggs annually, earning the moniker baby chick capital of the world. Martha Aldridge is a retired art educator and bronze sculptor whose work has won her multiple awards and has been showcased all across the country. A native of Warrensburg, she has spent most of her life right here in Clinton.
I started with a major in commercial art, and I was painting and drawing and that kind of thing at that time. And I got married, and my husband wanted to be a coach. And I knew we were going to be in a small town because that's where all coaches usually start. So I changed my major to teaching because I thought, okay, this'll work. So I got a degree in art education.
After graduating from Central Missouri State University, now UCM, the young couple ended up in Clinton, where Martha would become the school district's first elementary art teacher.
I loved working with the children, and I do a lot of children now. You know, I sculpt a lot of them. And so I loved teaching. I really did like it. But when it became time to retire, I was ready to start my own thing. Because when you teach, you don't have time to do lots of other things. I've always loved sculpture. I always liked building. My dad, he did lots of carpentry, and he could just work with any tools, and I was always fascinated by them.
Just a shape
So,
to begin with.
you know, I was always helping him out. And so I loved to build and to make things. And the first thing I did was, I always wanted a carousel horse. I wanted one of the old ones, but I couldn't afford it. So I decided I was going to make my own. So I did a little wood carving for a while, and then after I got through with teaching, when I retired in '96, I took a lesson from Elizabeth Ritter over at Lamont in sculpture. And so I started taking lessons from her and just became infatuated with it, and I've been doing it ever since.
Despite being warned by her mentor to avoid sculpting children, Martha has become recognized for her natural and playful depiction of kids, often using her grandkids as models.
Actually, Libby told me, she says, you don't want to do children. She says, everyone's doing children. She says, you'll never sell one, you know. Well, then later she took it all back. She says, you've done well with your kids. So I don't know. I guess the biggest challenge is just deciding what position you can put them in that makes them look normal for them. You know, you want something that goes along with that child.
Martha's other favorite subject are horses, a fascination she's had her entire life.
I've always loved horses. I had a horse as a kid, and I've just always loved riding and grooming them and just messing with them. There's just something about them that just draws you to them. They have such a majestic, way about them, all their movements and everything.
Of all her sculptures, though, she may be proudest of the one displayed in Liberty, Missouri. It's the largest sculpture she's ever produced and depicts Lawrence Slaughter, a beloved custodian and crossing guard whose nickname was China.
All the children knew him. All the children loved him. There are still a few people around that remember him. And so when the Liberty Art Commission came to me and asked me if I would be interested in this, we went from there. I started building it. He's life-size, and the children are life-size. It's there forever. I mean, take a bronze like that, that's going to be in that park forever and ever. And so I've kind of left a legacy behind. It's kind of neat.
When President Harry S. Truman was in his 20s, he often visited this house on East Bodine Street, where his parents once lived while working on their 80-acre farm just outside of town.
On this Missouri Flavor, we're at a restaurant that's been a community staple for over 40 years. Let's go grab a slice, topped with tradition.
Well, we got started in October of '76, and Dad started it, and he got tired of traveling all the time, and he decided he wanted to open a restaurant. And I was a senior in high school whenever I started, just kitchen help, making pizzas, cooking. I didn't get started on all the paperwork and all that till later on, but just grew in time. We have a lot of good customers. They come and do business with us, a lot of them daily, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, and appreciate each and every one of them, and we just keep growing from that. Word of mouth is good advertising, best you can have, and we have good reception on that, and that's the main thing.
People will know you. I work for an orthodontist, and it's really funny. The kids will come in and they'll stare at me and they'll say, "You're Mrs. Pizza Glenn." And I said, "Yes, I am." So it's a great community, and Glenn's what really started all of it. So it's nice to have people support you.
We have Carryout, which is they can have their pizza or sandwiches or salads, whichever they like, and then come in and get it. Everything is willing to go the way they like it. We go through 800-900 pounds of cheese a week, so that kind of tells you what we go through. It's pizzas and salads too, but we make everything scratch. Our thin crust dough, we roll it out. It's got to sit for 36 hours or so, or it's not good. Then we put sauce on it, however much they like, and then put the cheese on, and then the ingredients. We don't skimp on it. Give them a good helping of everything. A lot of people like our salads. We keep it fresh, chop lettuce every day, go through probably 20 cases plus a week. We grate our own cheese, which is just mozzarella cheese. Deep dish, we make it daily, keep it fresh. We got to prepare it a little bit. It takes a little bit longer to prepare it than regular crust. Usually weekends are really busy. You never know. You just take it whenever you get it and be glad you got it. Everybody knows you. People up the street will tell you, they'll stop in for gas or something. They'll send them in here, and they know what kind of quality food you put out, service you try to give them. And I think people appreciate that.
This structure was built in 1893 after the original courthouse had to be raised in 1887. With its arched doorways and rounded windows, the Henry County Courthouse sits like a crown in the middle of Missouri's largest historic downtown square and is the centerpiece to Clinton's Old Glory Days, held annually in July. Jane Froman was a popular singer and philanthropist. Her story is one of overcoming multiple adversities to become one of the biggest radio stars of the 1930s and 40s. Born on November 10, 1907, just outside of St. Louis, Missouri, Jane was raised in Clinton. Growing up in a musical household, she began singing at an early age, but when her father left the family, Jane developed a stutter, a speech impediment she would never completely overcome. She was only 5. Young Jane endured as her classmates mocked her, but when she sang, no trace of a stutter could be heard. In 1919, she and her mother moved to Columbia, where she attended high school at what is now Columbia College, before enrolling at the University of Missouri School of Journalism. When her grades suffered, she decided that music is what she wanted to pursue, and she moved to Ohio to study voice at the Cincinnati Conservatory of Music. While there, she began singing at parties and other private functions, which led her to singing on WLW radio, exposing her to an even larger audience. It was also there that Jane met Don Ross. He would become her unofficial manager and encouraged her to take her talents to Chicago. She quickly got a job at NBC and became a listener favorite. In 1933, Jane and Don moved to New York City and were married. It was then that Jane's career truly blossomed. She joined the Ziegfeld Follies, and the following year was voted the #1 female singer on the radio in a nationwide poll. When famous composer and producer Billy Rose was asked to name the top 10 female singers, he reportedly replied, Jane Froman and 9 others. Many radio performers of the time went to Hollywood to pursue movie careers, and Jane followed suit. She would appear in 3 films, but her stutter prevented her from performing long speaking parts, so her movie career was never fully realized. Her popularity as a singer never waned, and when World War II broke out, she was one of the first performers who volunteered to entertain the troops. In fact, it was one of her biggest fans, FDR, who requested she perform. On one of her USO trips abroad, however, tragedy struck. In February of 1943, her plane crashed into the Tagus River in Lisbon, Portugal. Seriously injured, she survived, thanks to the flight's co-pilot. Despite being severely injured himself, he was able to keep both of them afloat until being rescued. She would go on to need over 30 different surgeries to save her leg and would require the use of a leg brace for the rest of her life. After a long and arduous recovery, her singing voice remained, and she returned to the USO tour in 1945. Traveling for 3 months across Europe, she performed for the troops while still on crutches. Despite her injuries, Jane's career continued to flourish. Although multiple infections once more threatened the loss of her leg, she returned to performing on the nightclub circuit. During this time, though, her marriage suffered, and she and Don divorced in February of 1948. 1 month later, she married John Byrne, the man who saved her life. The two then moved to Florida, where she could continue to heal. In addition to healing physically, Jane also suffered from PTSD. Diagnosed with battle fatigue, Jane spent time at the Menninger Foundation in Topeka, Kansas. And after 6 months there, she was released with a newly restored mind and body. The therapy she received also helped her stutter, and she credited the time spent there for her new ability to speak in front of large crowds. In 1952, Froman's life story was portrayed in the movie With a Song in My Heart. Starring Susan Hayward, Jane was heavily involved in its production, even supplying Hayward's singing voice for the film. The movie was a huge success, earning multiple Academy Award nominations and receiving the Oscar for Original Music Score. The movie soundtrack also became the year's best-selling album and led to Jane landing her own television show on CBS. She also became a staple on numerous other television variety shows, including Milton Berle's Texaco Star Theater, Ed Sullivan's Toast of the Town, and The Jackie Gleason Show. But as her career flourished, her personal life again suffered as her marriage to John Byrne ended. Upon her retirement, Jane returned to Columbia, where she reconnected with Roland Smith, an old classmate from her time at MU and a local newspaperman. She also continued to dedicate her time to charitable causes like the Easter Seals campaign and the Jane Froman Foundation to assist the Children's Hospital at the Menninger Clinic, where she had previously been treated. Over her nearly 30-year career, Miss Froman recorded 43 singles, received 3 different stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, all while inspiring fans across the country with both her voice and her deeds. Our final stop is the Katy Trail. Trains continued to operate on the Missouri, Kansas, and Texas Railroad track until it was abandoned in the 1980s. Today, this is the western trailhead of Missouri's longest rails-to-trails conversion, and at only 100 feet wide, Missouri's narrowest state park. From Clinton past St. Charles to Mockins, Missouri, bikers and hikers can ride or walk 240 miles. We hope you've enjoyed this sneak peek into the people, history, craftsmanship, and flavors of Clinton, Missouri. For everyone at KMOS TV, Missouri Life Magazine, and myself, thanks for watching, and tune in next time to spark your spirit of discovery and experience Missouri life. More information is available on social media or online at KMOS.org. Production support is provided by Missouri Life Magazine. Missouri Life Magazine explores and celebrates the people, places, history, and destinations that make our state unique. Subscription information for Missouri Life Magazine can be found online at MissouriLife.com. And by viewers like you. Thank you.